cast your mind back to January 2020. Everybody was watching Tiger King, listening to records, spending time indoors, spending a lot of money and a lot of time on records. And as a result, the price is going absolutely crazy. Now, January 2020, I remember, I think it, being bored at home a lot, looking at records online, watching VC videos, and I thought I would write down kind of a more of a focused want list. So I have a Discogs want list, but I knew there was, 14 or 15 albums on there that weren't crazy expensive, but I would just really like to have them. So I guess more of like a targeted want list of things. And I thought, these are all achievable records that I can get for prices that I want to pay. And I should really target those first, because as we all do, I remember getting very distracted and picking up other things and new releases and stuff like that. So in January 2020, I wrote an email to myself at 9:34 p.m. in the evening as a reminder of these are the records that I would like to get this year. Now, I also said to myself, I would like to get all of these shipped and to New Zealand for under 100 New Zealand dollars, which I think is about 60 US dollars. Now, this was 2020. If you remember, prices for records were still decent. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. During COVID, the prices just, exponentially jumped up for certain records. And in fact, most records are now double in price. I was looking through what I paid for them at the time in 2020 compared to now, and most of these have doubled, tripled, quadrupled in price on Discogs just since 2020. So I didn't expect it to take me until the end of 2024 to complete this list. Let's say it that way. So I did manage to get them all for under 100 New Zealand dollars, apart from one of them, which I'm really happy with. I haven't talked about this on the channel before because I've kind of been waiting for 4 years to make this video. I don't know. I just thought it'd be quite a cool idea to sit through and show these records and talk about them, and kind of show you guys like what records I picked, what records I focused on, rather than kind of like just buying records that come at me throughout the universe kind of thing. So yeah, I guess I should say, I said 100 New Zealand dollars shipped. Just to give you an idea, I would say back then shipping to get things here was sort of like, roughly 20% of that cost. So if the record cost me 80 New Zealand dollars, it would be $20 to get it shipped here. These days, now in 2024, it's more like 40 to 45% to get the record here. So it's getting harder and harder to buy things on Discogs and online. But yeah, that was it really. This is the list. So I should say also, some of these records definitely came in way under $100. Some of them, more up there. It was more the shipping that was the issue. And yeah, I guess I should also say none of these are super mega grails. None of them are like private press, obscure, triple digit records. They're all kind of things that I wanted, that I really liked, that I knew were achievable to get. Just kept it really simple. So that's that. Before we start, I'm just going to tell you what's going on in the background. This is this lovely record that was recorded in 1971 on the None Such Explorer series. Now this is Javanese court gamelan music, recorded in Java, which is in Indonesia, by Robert E. Brown. Absolutely beautiful, wonderful record. Very atmospheric, droning, relaxing, peaceful sounds. You can hear sparrows you know, in the background. Interestingly, the first track here was included on the Golden Voyager record that got sent into space as an example of this sort of music, which I thought was quite cool. But yeah, there you go. Hopefully it's not too loud or too quiet. I know that I will definitely get copyright infringement on this video because I've gone through and filmed some audio clips of each record. So you will get ads. I'm really sorry about that. I just thought it would be cool to show you guys some of the music. So tough. Alright, I'm going to take a quick sip of tea and then we will get into it. So the first two on the list are kind of together as a bundle, and I bought them both from the same seller pretty early on in 2020. I knew that these two were ones that I should get, and they had been on my want list for ages. I think Fred had told me about them back in the day. This was kind of, I think they just were being reissued around this time, and this is what prompted me to get them. But this is Catherine Riberio and Alpes, Paix, or translates to Peace. I think this one came out in 1972. And I also picked up Debout from 1971, the first record. Now, how do I describe this? French, avant-garde, folk, prog, touches of psychedelic, really, really strong vocal work. She sounds very passionate, very fiery. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I know lots of people in the VC are fans of this record here. Really wonderful. And this one too is in a similar vein. Fantastic. So I can recommend those two. These are still cheap-ish, I think. You can still get them for a relative price. They have also been reissued, both on the Philips label. Yeah, so I got both of these, both shipped here for under 100. The next one up is definitely a heavy hitter and a really, really big one for me. This is the Steve Reich drumming music for mallet instruments, voices and organ, and 6 pianos. This is a 3 LP set from Deutsche Grammophon. Absolutely essential, cornerstone, milestone listen in modern classical and experimental music. It is absolutely worth it just for 6 pianos alone. A wonderful piece of music. Really, really deep and rewarding. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I feel like this is a seminal piece of music. This box set is absolutely fantastic. And also would be a really good starting point if you're looking at getting into him. Yeah, it was very satisfying to get this. It was very hard to get a clean copy of it too, as the music's very quiet. I ended up buying this from Japan. And as we know, the Japanese keep things in very clean and tidy condition. Alright, third up. This is one that, again, is still cheap, it's still achievable. I only managed to pick this one up this year, but it had been on my list since 2020, and I'd known about it for quite a few years before that. the wonderful Hermeto Pasqual, or Pascoal, Brazilian composer, moved to America and spent a lot of time recording there. Recorded with Miles Davis famously. Now, how the heck do I explain what this is? It's like a weird Latin fusion MPB, slightly proggy, strange, bizarre mix, fusion kind of record. It's really, really unique, as you know, all of his work tends to be. Yeah, this is a really lovely Japanese pressing, lovely gatefold Japanese pressing, produced by Eto Moreira and Flora Purim. Yeah, I just urge you to go check it out. It's really, really interesting, especially the first track called Mixing Pot. Yeah, fantastic. This lovely record here, Azar Lawrence, Bridge into the New Age. 1974. This had been on my list for a long time before I wrote the Wantlist again. This has been reissued, and at some point I bought the reissue on Jazz Dispensary, and then I ended up finding this original copy. Absolutely fantastic. It's primarily a fusion record, but there's a lot of soul and funk influences on here. If you like things like the Doug and Gene Kahn records on Black Jazz, there's vocal elements that remind me of that. It's just a really, really great, spiritual funk soul fusion mix. There's some really great players on here. Azar Lawrence, Gene Kahn, Woody Shaw, Billy Hart, Julian Priester, Joe Bonner, Hadley Callman. So you kind of, if you know those guys, you'll get an idea. And this artwork cracks me up because it looks really good from a distance, but when you get close, you sort of go, what the hell is that artwork all about? Look at that there. Okay, next one. I'm dreading how to describe this one. Jorge Reyes and Antonie Zepeda. This came out in 1986. Now, on Discogs, this is described as tribal ambient, which makes me just cringe. Tribal ambient brings up all sorts of horrible visions. But this came out in 1986, and it kind of reminds me of like Berlin school electronic mixed with kind of like South American traditional influences. It does sound a bit dated, being 1986, but Jorge Reyes plays, corgs, sequences, a whole bunch of electronics, and Antonie Zepeda brings the more traditional elements into it with ocarinas, flauts, tuba, a lot of the instruments I don't recognize. And in some ways it sounds like they didn't really decide on the aesthetic, so they kind of just mashed the two together, but it kind of works, and it's really, really interesting. I really like it. I do really like it, but I will say it sounds quite dated now, listening back. Fantastic cover. This was reissued a few years ago, but I really wanted to get an original. With a very cool label design on it here, if you can see that. So the next one, I checked Discogs and I added this one to my list. I think it was 11 years ago. Can that be right? That seems that I'm not sure if that's right. I guess it probably would be coming up to around that time now, which is really, really scary. That David Belson, Record Bug, who's still around, social media and the VC and stuff, recommended this record to me. Michael Gregory Jackson, Clarity. Now, when he recommended it to me, I didn't know who this person was. I didn't know Oliver Lake, Leo Smith, David Merry. I had no idea what this was. And I kind of listened to it without any sort of understanding of avant-garde or free jazz, or really I had a small idea of it, but this really made the impact on me. It's a wonderful, wonderful record. It's done on the Bija label, and it's very hard to describe what this is. It's kind of a mix between jazz, avant-garde, classical, but very sort of peaceful and minimal. It really, really draws you in. It's definitely not it's jazzy, but it's not jazz. It's a really, really interesting record. It kind of really made an impact on me at the time. So yeah, a big one for me. And it was really hard to get a clean copy of this. So yeah, very happy with that one. So the next one on the list, weirdly, is a reissue. And the reissue was on my list because the original is kind of like mega dollars. And this reissue is still quite expensive and always has been. I'm not quite sure why, but it always has been. This is Lula Cortez Ezeramalho. I mean, I'm obviously butchering the titles here. And it's an absolutely kind of fantastic, deep, psychedelic, Brazilian jungle, trippy, hell of an album. Absolutely fantastic. Comes in this lovely thick gatefold with an amazing booklet in it. Yeah, I'd always wanted this particular reissue, just because I know that the Mr. Bongo put a lot of work into the booklet and stuff like that. Absolutely fantastic, heavy record, some great bass playing in it. You'll hear it in the sound clip in a moment. But yeah, this is fantastic. Lovely record. Alright, the next one, I ended up with 2 copies of it. And it is the sort of top tier, top level, for me, one of my favorite all-time jazz records, Joe Chambers' The Almoravid, came out in 1974 on Muse. This is just an absolute masterclass in drumming and percussion. Killer lineup: Woody Shaw, Garnet Brown, Harold Vick, Cedar Walton, George Cables, Richard Davis, Walter Booker, Cecil McBee, and others. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, this definitely wasn't cheap. This is one of the ones that came in over 100. I think a fair chunk over 100. And oh, the music has finished. Shall I put something else on? So what we are now listening to is side 2 of this really, really interesting Annie Lockwood compilation. I haven't talked about this in the video yet, I only got it recently, but we are listening to Amazonia Dreaming. This is it originally came out in 1970, and this is the 2017 Black Truffle reissue. Really, really fantastic. I'm not going to go into detail on it. I'm going to talk about this in another video. But that's what's going on in the background. Where was I? Yes, so originally I found this on eBay, and this is Joe Chambers, the Almoravid. But it's this weird as hell handmade cover version. And the guy's kind of stuck it together and made it himself with reviews all over it. And I got this one definitely under 100, very cheap. It was a VG copy, a nice promo. So weirdly, I managed to get 2 copies of it. Very, very cool. So that's something where I've kept 2, which I never normally do, but this is just such an unusual, kind of cool piece of artwork on the front. The guy drew this himself, he told me, because I sent him a message asking him about it. Very unique. Okay, dropping down the price scale. This is a record that I think is fantastic, and it's still really cheap to get and quite underrated. This is the Binder Quintet. I think I picked this up in 2021, featuring John Tchicai. So this is like a Hungarian jazz, spiritual jazz, sort of very moody and soundtracky kind of thing. Absolutely wonderful. There's harmonicas in here, contrabass, trombones. Yeah, very, very, very beautiful, moody record. The Binder Quintet featuring the wonderful John Tchicai on alto saxophone. When did this come out? I want to say this came out in 1983. Does not sound like 1983. Sounds like it could have come out early 70s, if you ask me. Absolutely fantastic. On the Krem label out of Hungary. Yeah, this was nice to tick this one off. Again, one that's cheap, and I wanted it. I just never really targeted it. Fantastic. This next one, I feel like the pricing has kind of jumped up and down on this one over the years. It was quite high for a while, then it dropped, and now it's gone back up again. This wonderful Turkish record, Les Mogol. This came out in 1971. And it's very hard to describe. I guess you would say it's traditional, like trad Turkish music. Side 1 is definitely more traditional, and then 1 is more of the second side is kind of like a modern take on the Turkish sound. It kind of has like minimal psych elements in it. I mean, look at that cover. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I was really happy to get this one. Pressed in France. I'm showing you the label on the concert hall label. Absolutely fantastic. I saw that Jonas over at Sublime Media just found a copy very recently for $1 in a world music bin up there in Sweden. So it can still be had if you're lucky. Absolutely fantastic record. This one was definitely closer to the 100 mark for me at the time. I haven't looked to see what it goes for now. Alright, almost there. 3 more to go. I realise that I probably have shown most of these over the years in my vinyl finds videos, but I really wanted to kind of like put them all together in one video. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. This might be a bit grating. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to present them all together as I wrote the list as one piece kind of thing. Laurent Thibault, 1978. This came out on the Ballon Noir label. This is kind of like, I'm going to say French Zool prog, but that's going to probably scare you away. It's definitely a lot more lush and atmospheric and moody. Really, really wonderful, like a deep layer of sound over it. Yeah, just check it out. It's absolutely fantastic. This has been on my list for ages. I love the artwork on this one. It's absolutely beautiful. Laurent Thibault, fantastic. Obviously, Henry Rousseau painting on here. It's more like an ambient. Like an ambient fusion record. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. Please check this one out. I do really like this a lot. Okay, what do we got left? All right. Oh no, we've got 3 more remaining. This one, Steve Lacy, Moon on BYG Actual from 1971. Now, I am going to go on record and say that I wanted this for ages. I bought it during lockdown, and I still have not properly absorbed it or even listened to it all the way through, which is absolutely crazy. I really wanted it because it's the only BYG where they have reversed the cover art inside out, which I love. I think it looks so cool. I am a big fan of Steve Lacy, but I definitely haven't absorbed this, which is pretty shocking. I was looking earlier and noticed that it's got Jacques Thelot on drums, who I probably didn't know at the time, but I've now kind of become aware through those sort of Souffle continued reissues in the last few years. So I'm going to put this on after I finish this video. From what I've heard, it's typically fiery, very claustrophobic, lots of advanced stuff going on here. Steve Lacy, Moon. Here is a very special record, Kangaru Dreaming. One of the Australian records that really does live up to the hype for me. I think this is absolutely top shelf, fantastic. It's called Dreaming, and the artist is Kangaru, which is made up of 4 people. I'm not going to read the names, but it's a wonderful mix of Indian classical, folk, psychedelic tinges, a little bit hippie. Yeah, it's absolutely cool. I mean, look at this artwork. If that doesn't say everything, what does? I was really, really happy to finally get one of these. I mean, I never came across one of these in Melbourne, or if I did at the time, maybe I didn't know what it was. So I had to get this online. And then the last one the best for last, and this one definitely was over the $100 mark, but with friends like Anthony Camploni over in Melbourne, I managed to get this. And I remember actually, this is a very long time ago, Anthony went to New York on holiday and he caught up with Scott Mays. This was years and years ago. This was like, 10 years ago. And he said to me, I'm going to go to the record stores, but I only really want to find one record, and I want the original Gal Costa self-titled. And he came back with it and he found it. And I was like, wow, New York must have been a great place for records back then, because he kind of went and he got it. And now I have it. So Anthony gave me a really great deal on this record. Thank you for that. So I'm really, really happy. This was kind of like top of the list for me. Gal Costa's self-titled original Brazilian pressing in really amazing shape. Like really, really strong VG+++++. I don't need to talk about the music. It is a classic record that you should all listen to and know. On the Blue Phillips label, I will let the music speak for itself. So there we have it. That was my list. Now, just to prove that I'm not making it up, on screen now is the list, and there are all the records. I think from memory there's a few typos in here, or I hadn't specified the album specifically, but I knew what I meant when I wrote it down. And the date is Wednesday, the 22nd of January 2020 at 9:34 p.m. that I sent to myself in an email. Now, funnily enough, in 2023, I decided to write myself a new list of things that I wanted, and it's quite a bit longer, and the records are probably a lot more expensive and a lot harder to track down. Now, I think there's about 22 records on there, and I'm about 15 or 16 of the way through of that, and so I've really kind of focused in on those sort of records. Now, I think because I enjoyed making this one so much, I'm going to make that video, and at the end I'm going to talk about the 5 or 6 records that I'm still missing, because you never know, someone out there may have a copy they're willing to do a deal with me on, or realistically it might take me years to track down those remaining 6 records for a reasonable price. So I may as well just put it out there into the universe, and we'll see what happens. That was all. Sorry if this video was a long video. It's one that I've honestly been wanting to make now for 4 years. But yeah, thank you for watching. Look out for that next video. I will see you all soon.